This is a brand new 2.8 automatic Bloopy. Well, it's a Troopy. No, it's not mine. My mate bought it. My mate Chris bought it, in fact. Chris has asked me to consult him and advise him on this build. I said yes, but I have 3 conditions. Number 1, he must stick to the budget and must stick to the weight limit that we are going to discuss from the get-go. Condition number 2, we need to share this to my channel. There is so much that can be learned from realistic compromises that are going to be made because Chris is on a budget. It's his own money. All I'm doing is advising him on it. Chris is making the final choice. And there was one more condition. Once the build is completed, it needs to do the canning stock route. You are going to get all the reasons behind my advice that I'm going to give Chris. You will also see all the compromises that Chris is going to have to make. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Think about it. Well, that's not in your budget, mate.
I know.
It's not in your budget.
I know. Compromise.
He's already put a roof rack on the car and he has done some sound deadening to the vehicle. So tinny. This is Chris. Hey. And if Chris looks familiar, it's probably because of Project
Prado.
Project Prado, a successful purpose-built camera car, which served Chris well across the Gun Barrel Highway, the Pilbara, the Kimberley. In fact, it's seen all of WA's regions. It's also across the Simpson Desert, which led to this situation.
We'll send the camera car over first. Good luck.
You need it! Ages, yeah, and it's getting wetter and wetter.
And you are actually stuck then?
Like as soon as it just started to lose that traction, I was just spinning, I stopped.
The bear to the rescue, mate.
Unbelievable. I'm lucky to get as far as I did, but as you can see behind me, Torbs, he's really hit a bog hole and it's sunk him down massively. He can't talk at the moment. He's really wondering whether he can get his car out of here. It's really concerning.
If you want to know how we got all the vehicles out of the desert, I'll put a link to that video at the end of this video. So that was Project Prado, and if you're really keen to build a Prado, I mean, you get some good ideas from that, hey Chris?
Yeah, hell yeah, it was great.
From a fully kitted VX Prado to a farm truck, and if you know the 70 series, you know how basic they are, but even as a GXL, the Troopy gets less features than any of the other 70 series. As you know, I have a 76, and what you get with a 76 is actually a bit more than what you get with a Troopy, which is really interesting because that Troopy costs Chris more than what the 76 cost me. Take note of these flares here and this one. Now with the Troopy, you've never ever actually had the option of having the rear flare anyway. The front doesn't have it. This is a GXL. Why doesn't the Troopy come with that front flare? I mean, the single cab, the dual cab does, the 76 does. Why doesn't the Troopy? With the wheels, you don't get alloys. You get steel wheels, and they're very skinny. Now for me, I kind of like the steel wheel, but it's a very shallow dish. So this is kind of exposed. But the tyres are so much taller. And the Troopy is the reason why all the other 70 series, they can get away with putting some bigger tyres on them because of the Troopy. Because all the other 70 series, the tyres are that much lower. That's quite a bit. Hey Billy. One other thing the Troopy doesn't have, which I am so surprised that it doesn't, rear camera. They added the rear camera to the 76 series, but not the Troopy. I mean, all the wiring harness and everything is more or less the same, so I really don't understand. And the rear seats on the GXL Troopy are somewhat terrible compared to 76. I mean, 76 seats aren't that great either, the back seats I'm talking about, but the Troopy, they're like what Chris would say, made to be pulled out. The biggest question you might have is why did Chris go from a VX Prado, which I would consider like a luxury car, to a Troopy? to a GXL Troopy that doesn't have a lot of the stuff that you just saw that it doesn't have. Tell us why.
Let's start with the mirrors. So pretty basic. I smashed one of the Prado mirrors and I got quoted $3,200 to replace it. You know, they hang out and there was no doubt I was going to hit another one sooner or later. It's full of cameras, which I found completely useless.
Yeah. Well, that one's got nothing.
Nothing apart from it. Well, it still moves.
Yeah. I bet you it's still going to cost a fortune to replace.
I know, it still would. Toyota tax, for sure. And then on the interior was just the Prado had too much of that luxury finish on it. So a lot of hard plastics and stuff, and I was really getting scratched. It just wasn't built for what I needed it for. So I started to scratch the interior a fair bit.
You mentioned something about dust the other day.
Oh, dust. I'm really hopeless at closing my door when I'm filming, and I just ended up getting a pack, like heaps of dust all through the car. And I was more just worried because of the amount of electrics that are in it, whether or not that was going to affect it over a long period of time. You know, obviously pretty basic. I actually love the fact that you put your key somewhere. I'm very good at losing my keys, so to have that in there all the time is a good thing.
Chris has just told you how to steal his car. The keys are always in it. No. I would say that those are the sub reasons, but Chris, you know what I'm talking about. The elephant in the Troopy.
Yep. It's definitely more space than the Prado. I started with just traveling on my own, and then had another fella come and work for me, and it just got too much. Gear was going on top of gear and it was damaging the inside of the car. I had a rooftop tent, took that off to put the swags on. It just, all in all, just became too small a space. While now, it's so much space.
5 times the space?
Unbelievable. I feel really spoiled, even to the point where I'm just like, throw stuff in, as you can see. But it's going to be nice when I get some cupboards in there and some cabinets in there to organise it a bit better.
Chris is going to use this vehicle like a bush camera rig, hold all your camera gear, but also so you can live out of it for how many weeks at a time?
I think the longest trip we did last year was like 3 weeks. And that's why I want to add a few more luxuries into it.
How do you feel paying more for a Troopy than the VX Prado?
No, it sucks. It sucks. My wife just can't believe how basic they are. They're super basic. Everything that they've put in here gets used, and everything else there were so many features on the Prado that I just didn't even use. Cars are becoming more sort of complicated, but reality is, do you need all that extra stuff?
Yeah.
For me, I wasn't using half of it.
You had the car for 3 years, 100,000 Ks, and then you sold it.
Yeah.
The most important thing is the concept of a build, and I think everyone would understand that. It's the vision, and your vision is...
Living in West Australia, I think, you know, so many sunny days, don't really want to spend too much time in here. Obviously, if it's raining, great to spend time in here. But the idea is to be able to use what I've built in here on the outside.
Give us your explanation of that then.
Okay, I'll try not to lose you here. I wanted to sort of create a space inside that if I was sitting in there, I'm sort of looking out the side where the awning is and where people are congregating, so I can communicate with them. There's a big bench going along here. The bonus is if I'm doing that, that's great. If I'm on the outside, potentially, and this is where I might become unstuck, is that I might be able to use this bench from this side as well. So I can use it from the inside and I can use it from the outside. And that's really the basis. I just wanted to be able to use this side and have the services on the other side.
So the bench will sit about here, yeah?
Yeah.
And then going.
Going glass, I can still see out. So there's no blind spots there, but they can just pop up and I can basically use them. I mean, at the moment, I'm not a tall fella, but I'm probably gonna go a little bit higher, maybe, I don't know. That's the idea, is just to have that.
Okay, I can already tell you, I know you don't want a table on the side.
I mean,
no,
you can, but
you can if you do a table.
Oh, I want to keep, I want to keep.
You don't?
Nah, I'm really keen to keep this really flush.
You don't want one of those?
If I can get away without one, I want to be able to use these benches.
You sound a bit more open to it. I think most people are familiar with these Maxtrax tables that come down, right? Now, Chris doesn't want that on the side. You don't want to drill any holes into this car.
You had a cool idea. I like your idea, it was cool.
Once these are gull-wings, we should be able to design something that can clip onto there and not damage any of this. The table that I propose, it will come down and then you can flip it like that. That way it's not going to tamper with the bodywork. Chris can stand here on his laptop, he can still access the bench in there, and you'll have an awning over his head. I reckon it's the only way. And you can have one here, you can have one there. You can make it work on the other side too if you really wanted to.
Yeah, that's right.
Most Troopies are more or less done the same way. The bed's usually on that side and the fridge is usually on this side.
The seating and bed on the passenger side and all the cabinetry on the driver's side. Main reason is to keep the driver's visibility out of the passenger side windows. The windows behind the driver's side don't provide any visibility, making it the best choice for cabinets and tall cabinets. But Chris's concept does not allow for the classic layout.
This is going to be reversed because of the way Chris wants to use his Troopy.
Meaning it's flipped. In order to keep visibility out of the passenger side, Chris has to compromise on the cabinet heights. There are some unknowns still to be seen.
Even the fridge is on the opposite side. There's a lot going on. That's as far as I'm going to go into detail because it's not going to make any sense until you see it. When you're going to another vehicle, you got to ask yourself what worked on the vehicle it just came from.
Yeah.
And can I transfer that to here? Not necessarily the gear. I mean, if you can transfer the gear, even better, but you sold it. Can you transfer that concept to here?
Yeah.
And the answer is on your power, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And that worked.
It worked great.
And that's why I brought your budget up, because you're not going to get all that for 40.
Yeah, I know.
You're already 20k in with the interior and all that.
Prices have gone probably up a bit as well since then.
Chris's new budget, whether he likes it or not, is now 50k.
Yeah, I don't even think I'm going to get suspension under that 50k though.
Well, let's see if you even need it.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
What else worked? The kitchen worked.
Yep, kitchen was great.
And you kind of transferred that into here?
Yeah, it's a similar, I mean, it's a design that was already integrated into the new cabinets that Toby does. But when I pulled it out, I was like, oh, this is quite similar to the Prado. So yeah, 100%. It's pretty similar.
Facing the big door when you're cooking now.
Compromise.
We'll look at that once it's in. It's hard to explain. Roof rack, you know you need it because when you got the extra camera, cam guy,
we'll
swag.
probably both live in swag. I love living in swag, so I'm happy with that.
Even though you got a bed in here?
I think if I'm on my own, I'd probably sleep in the back here, but I have less gear to put in there as well, so.
The man likes his swag.
The negative points experienced from a previous fit out are as important as the positives and should not be repeated.
What didn't work?
I just wasn't a fan of the work lights. I mean, they're great for finding camp and setting up, but apart from that, they were just blinding.
How are you going to light your camp?
I'm going to maybe use some mobile lithium lights, I'm thinking. That's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to try something and just see how that goes.
That's what I was going to suggest. I've got something you might like.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wiring on the roof, it just looked awesome to start with, but then all the mounting bits started rusting and then it came loose and there was plastic everywhere and I wanted to switch things around and it all just got really difficult. And also kind of drilled holes into the back of the Prado and it was just a lot of things that weren't right about it.
You've been there, done that. I haven't drilled any holes in my 76 either.
No, I think if you can avoid it, it's best to avoid drilling holes in your car. It's just something not quite right about it. But you know, if you want the light bar at the front on your roof rack.
There's ways you can do it. It wasn't necessary to drill holes in your car.
Concept covered. Time to start the list. I think you might be surprised at my recommendations to Chris. He certainly will be.
We know the concept, which means that we have to be careful with how high we lift Chris's car. So does he need a lift? That's the question. I would say no. I've had my 76 on 33s and no lift and it was fantastic. The canning stock route though, we may need to think about the shocks and stuff maybe. We'll cross that bridge later on. We'll definitely need to increase the load on the rear leaves because he's putting a bit of weight in the back. Suspension, question mark. Hopefully we get away with it. Just minimal stuff, I reckon. Maybe upgrade the shocks. The height doesn't matter. You know that yourself, Chris. There's much more height in this car than the Prado.
100%.
This is where my advice, you may not agree with me, Chris. I want to see your reaction to this. I'm going to call these semi-fake all-terrains. That's what I'm going to call them.
Pretty skinny.
The sidewalls are still going to be in danger once you lower them. Have you noticed when you lower these down, they bulge out, they bag out a bit far on the sides? Yeah. You had all-terrains on the car before, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm going to suggest now. I suggest you put mud terrains on this car. Yeah.
Why?
Because I know the type of driving you do. I know the areas you go to, a mud terrain will actually serve you better. You've got...
I would have never thought to put mud trains on there.
You've got sound deadening everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
It'll be nice and quiet.
It's a bit more chunk, you reckon?
I think so.
Yeah, right.
Stake 3 tyres on the Prado.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that back.
I'm suggesting mud tyres, but it's up to you. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to something else. You're not sure about that one, are you?
Nah.
You need to be weight conscious because the Prado was too heavy.
Yeah, it felt heavy. I don't.
Yeah, the suspension was probably a bit too soft.
Yeah.
And we added weight as we went. You definitely need a bull bar, so you can't get away with that weight on the front.
Yeah.
They're very light on the front compared to the V8. I would say no winch.
Yeah.
And no rear bar. Like with the swing away arms, don't bother with that.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but I recommend that you get some form of rock slider. This is not going to do much. It'll help you a little bit, but this is the concern.
Yes.
That there, man. Nah, you don't want to dent that. 35-inch tyres, 2.8 litre turbo diesel, same motor that's in that one, it's the exact same thing. It doesn't lack any power, it doesn't lack any get up and go with these tyres. Engine mods, no, except for one thing, secondary diesel filter.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Because what you're doing is you're protecting the main filter before it gets to the engine.
Okay.
So secondary filter will be here, main Toyota filter here, then it goes to the engine.
Is that because I'm doing a lot of outback sort of dodgy?
Even if you're not doing outback, it's a really cheap mod and it's just extra insurance because not all insurance companies actually cover dodgy fuel.
Okay.
That's another thing.
Yeah, right.
So who are you going to insure this with? Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
You're sitting so high.
Yeah.
I think you'll be okay for now. Like, I haven't changed mine, but I'm also going to be sitting higher than you.
Yeah, that's an extra cost. Let's keep that one for now.
If this gives you the shits with the sound, like the...
Yeah, I don't mind it.
You don't mind it? No. Then leave it. I've still got mine on there. but a ram head will give you 5 extra horsepower.
Ah,
Proven.
jeez.
Interior,
Basic. It was only the seats. The seats like long-term driving.
well, that's not in your budget, mate.
I know.
It's not
I
in
know.
your
I
budget.
know. Seats worth like if I upgrade them.
If this budget
What are we talking?
is this your first year budget? Let's call it a first year budget.
Okay.
You're not getting it in this budget.
Okay. Well, forget that.
I'm going to help you out with one thing here. There's your travel
Oh
companion.
shit! Wow, nice.
The armrest. I can't believe I haven't given you one yet.
I know. I was waiting for you to give me one, but it's finally come. Wow, these look really cool.
You want to get one yourself? Jump on the store. There's a link right there.
Nice. Same colour as the interior as well.
Look at that.
Hey,
There's your travel companion.
we have a feel.
Done.
Feels good.
You're supposed to be sitting in the car when you do that. But
Well, not really. If you're hanging outside the car, you can.
water. What are your plans?
I'm going to try and get 100 litres onto it, or close to it. And I think 90 litres is the tank I'm looking at.
Fuel.
180 litres. Great for the canning.
Yeah, well, actually,
What could I take it to?
you'll take the back one to 180 litres, which means you're going to add another 90 litres to the whole lot. 180 at the moment, you're going to get 270 litres
Whoa,
of diesel.
that's good. That's probably like 2,000 kilometres.
Yeah, I wish my Troopy could get that. It doesn't. It's a
insane.
V8.
That's insane. Your head looks bigger than mine.
Are you trying to make your head less piggy because you're to the edge?
To the edge, it starts drawing it in.
What are the non-negotiables? Shower?
Hell yeah.
You've already got a hot water tank, haven't you?
Yeah, 6 litres.
Hot water?
Yeah.
Wow, that's fancy.
Oof.
I don't even do that.
I've
I just put
definitely
a
gone
bucket
up-
on the
I've
fire.
gone up market.
Yeah, well, you're on the road, you're working, I get it. Shower, hot water.
Coffee. I want to be able to
Coffee?
use an espresso machine.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, Cafe Prado, you know, we had that.
Nani da. I have many copies from
Cafe, you love Cafe Prado.
Seriously, guys, you know, if you see Cafe Prado out in the tracks, come and have a coffee and make sure you leave a good Google review, and we'd really love to have you here.
I noticed you called the back of yours Cafe something.
Cafe Ragnarok.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you know.
but it was ground coffee by hand, mate.
Yeah, that's, well,
Yeah.
you know, you should go and hang out in Byron Bay.
Right. Start a fire in the middle of Byron Bay. And this camera's getting wet, so let's move him over here. Chris asked me some questions about the rear wheel track issue, and if you're not familiar, the 70 series has still a narrow track. The 70 series, they still haven't updated the rear axle to be in line with the front axle. It's narrow on the rear.
This GoPro footage really shows how far out the wheel track is. Overall, it's 100mm, 50mm each side. This also causes the rear to flick out every now and then, meaning you have to constantly correct your steering.
And should I get it corrected? To be honest, I didn't know much about it. I've only learned recently about the track thing. So
I want you to take it on a soft beach first for yourself, and then you can see how it behaves. Now, having skinnier tyres, it's going to exaggerate it, I'd imagine, with the whip out. Like mine did it. Yeah, I want you to take it on the beach first.
Is that what? Okay. What would you do?
I would put a flare on it and then put a
Go right out.
and put a neg 50.
Yeah, right.
But it's technically yeah, I don't want to go there. This is a deep dish.
Yeah.
So this is a negative 50. It's a 0 offset. If you look at yours, the rims are exactly the same.
Yeah.
But if you look down this line, you'll see that one wheel is noticeably out further than the other, and now look, the wheel is turned, so it is exaggerating it, but there is a big difference there. The front wheel sits further out.
I can see
The
that
back
from
wheel
here.
sits in. Say that again.
Well, they brought out the new model. Why didn't they fix that? Is that a whole nother conversation?
I'm not even going to go there.
It's electric aerial here, Ronnie.
It's not electric. No, it used to be.
Really?
It
They
used
took it
to
off?
be. Yeah, they took it. They removed the electric aerial. Will all this work? That's the question. Now, there will be hidden costs that Chris is going to find along the way, but he needs to stick to that budget. The next time you'll see it, it'll probably be at least half done, and then I reckon you won't see them again until we're about to start the canning stock route.
Pretty exciting.
Especially on stock suspension.